Okay, let's dance. And by dance I mean socially isolate, because this is happening. It doesn't really matter. I mean, my wife's a nurse, so God knows if I'm going to get it, then yeah, I'm going to get it. But yeah, whatever. Got the swine flu, so we'll see how bad this is. Right, Shrimp's trial of social luster trade. Shrimp being stat with half my lives, and being that they're 3, I lose 1. And social luster trade being if I activate a stranger, incomplete random special stages equal to 1/10 of your coin count. Because some of these random mod combinations are really weird, and some of them are also kind of broken actually. There was one that came out the other day that resulted in what was it now? One of these are mine. These can't be mine. Yeah, resulting in if you click on a chest, destroy 3 random loot items. If there weren't 3 random loot items, it would soft lock the game when you try to open any chests. I didn't play that one, but I had an awful lot of fun watching everyone else who did. There is one useful thing about having a day job. You sort of get to see what the daily is going to be like before you've actually played it. I don't know, the daily in this is a really odd thing, because 1, 2, 3, yeah. Oh, that can't be right, can it? Oh wait, yeah. So one of these is. This is already surrounded by 2. I think that is actually. I think that's safe. Is it safe? Is it safe? Yeah. Okay. No, that's not so bad. Yeah, it's a really weird daily considering that there are so many random elements, like, you know, what do you get in the shop, what do you get out of chests, and the way that you can replay them repeatedly, so you can try to get a better score. Or I'm not saying that they're bad dailies, I'm saying that they're very unorthodox, though. But, yeah, I mean, I do kind of enjoy the daily. If nothing else, the daily is a very good way of getting red vein, green vein, blue vein, and presumably a good way of getting poppies and oh, I don't know what the other one is. Is it driftwood that you get from the island? I don't think I've ever played Wonder, or I think it's Reef actually. The other secret level. I say they're not secret levels, are they? They're levels that have a very small chance of appearing at very particular times. There's some notes about them on the Steam forums. But otherwise, things are pretty much the same over here. At least they are for me. What are these? What are they? Tells me nothing. I've really got into the hunter class actually. The one that works on familiars. I've actually forgotten that I wasn't playing Beyond mode there, and I could actually use my mastery. 3, so Redufa, that isn't good, is it? I think one of these has to be. No, sorry, no. I think one of these is likely. 3, so can't be both of those. Can't be one of those, but not both of those. Meaning that these 2. Well, I don't know how leaning works. Let's try that again, shall we? Yeah, there is one enormous benefit to Hunter when you're playing in Beyond mode. The difficult part of Beyond tends to be the final level. I mean, I'll demonstrate this when I actually get around to playing Beyond again. I'm only playing the daily because it looks like a viable daily, and I really don't have long until I need to be out of the house again. But, oh dear. Oh no, we don't like that. I'll take a flyer because I can only take 1 damage here. Yeah, see, the hard part tends to be the final level, because the boss will smack you around a bit, the enemies do a lot of damage because Beyond's damage escalates very quickly. But if you take Hunter, its final mastery ability is to reduce the stage's power by the number of minions you currently have. And the main point of Hunter is kind of that one of these. Oh, take a guess. There we go. Yeah, one of the main points of a Hunter is, I think if you solve 60 cells, and that's 60 cells, not 60 turns, without taking any kind of damage, then you just gain a familiar, or a minion, whichever one the little rat is. So that means that by the time you get to the final level, if you've made a lot of mistakes, you've probably died anyway. So you've probably got quite a few familiars in stock. So first thing you do when you start the final level is to pop your mastery ability. The Hunter Mastery only takes 2 levels to charge, so you will get it. And yeah, all of a sudden the stage power can be as low as 1 to 1. Which, unless you get something weird like the Lost Shaman that can increase the stage power, then suddenly you're kind of off to the races. I don't like any of those, really. But I do want to try for a 25 height. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That may solve the low max health problem. I do like me a little bit of Crystal Soul. It's definitely one of my favourites. In fact, I think it is actually my favourite. Outside of the Fake Moustache, it may be my favourite legendary. The one benefit it has over Fake Moustache is that it's cheap enough that you're likely to actually be able to afford it in a standard run that, you know, you don't get some kind of combination that results in you having 3,000 gold or something. But yeah, Crystal Veins, more please. Actually, after playing a little bit of Hunter, I do miss the Spy Mastery. It's very nice. Still perhaps a little bit overpowered. 3 minions, yeah, don't mind if I do. But then, I don't know, different skills for different times, you know? Like, I prefer Hunter for Beyond. If I'm playing on Endless Multiverse, I will probably go for a Breaking Witch run, just because that's the easiest way to dominate in that difficulty, really. Oh, I'd forgotten about that. In fact, that's kind of the draw of this particular run, is that I can reopen shops quite frequently. In fact, considering that there's a Rite of Passage available, that's got some good defense farming potential, provided I can continue to draw strangers. I think... No, I was about to make a bad assumption there, and no, we don't want to do that, do we? Remember to use your mercenaries to their fullest. Make sure that you're getting as much out of them as possible, even if all they're doing is going around and killing. They're still helping to generate kills for the slaughter achievement. And if one of these cheeky chaps could wander up here, or down here, yeah, you see they've solved it down there, so that's nice. Oh, accidentally gleaned there, just out of instinct, really. What? So oh, cool, he actually did it. I've been watching a little bit of Warriso. I don't know, I mean, there's hardly anybody watches these anyway, but so I don't know if there's any kind of I won't say cross promotion, but he's actually worth a watch. Definitely got a different style of playing this to me though. He's much faster, but it's interesting to watch someone else's take on this. No, I don't like that. No. I mean, I like it, but it is going to kill me.
Hello.
Oh well. Right. So you take that and just reopen a shop for 5 coins. That is as much as it would cost to use a... Is it the Key of Undoing? I forget its name. That ain't mine. These are not mine. Ooh, hello, Crystal Veins. crystal veins. Some stay dry and others feel the pain. Yeah. I'm aware that with every damn thing that I say, I'm aging. I'm dating myself. The memes from when I was a kid are so inscrutable now. I mean, I still remember the very first thing I saw that would probably constitute a meme, and it was the original "All Your Base I Belong to Us." And you know, it ain't funny now. I mean, it's definitely had its day, but it's hard to forget that one. Let's just take some money. I'm really not bothered about getting the extra score from leaving behind the items and getting the charitable. Ooh, yes, please. Dangerous, but okay. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll take some defense, please. Yeah, I've lost my thread completely now. Memes. Forget it. Ooh, that's nice. That's interesting, and I'll certainly take some armor, thank you so much. Okay, I could stand to gain 12 for using the coin. That's nice. One of these must be, which means that can't be. He's gambled a bit too hard, and now it's a 4 on the board, so ancient coin is not worth as much. I like muscle. I've got divine muscle unlocked, but I try not to play with too many active divines, just so I can really prioritise the ones I particularly enjoy. I mean, like hell, I'm giving up divine pickaxe. Then he said one of these absolutely must. That is one. Yep. I was thinking about doing a video on common patterns. Remember to enunciate, people will actually understand what you're saying. And I came to the conclusion that really, for me to explain them in any depth would take so long and be such an incredibly dull video that nobody wants that. I mean, if anybody does want that, let me know. I'll go through the ones I'm aware of. I will have to prepare some source material though, because it's going to be a little bit hard to do spontaneously, because it's sort of hard to guarantee that you'll get any particular patterns. Right then, one of these must be, so that cannot be. And then he said one of these must be, which means I believe this must be. Yes. We'll have 1, 2. Ooh, we have quite a few 4s on the field right now. I am tempted to push it to the limit. Live life on the razor's edge. So 5 is gambled too hard again. But that just means that I'll have more cash to generate in other levels, so it's not a tremendous hardship. I am not going to lose any sleep over that. What I may lose sleep over is the fact that this board is now terrible. Although one of these is, there's only 2 left. Gotta be safe. Yep. And that's how you make the best of a bad situation. Just a little deduction there. I am going to hang out OU. And I'm going to try to generate a little bit more cash. Also, we are not in the mood to give me any leniency here. So I'm going to pop that. Funny mic, and I'm feeling good. No! Oh. There's all this red glowing in the background here. Oh, it's minefield, that's why. Don't wait for diamonds at me now. Oh, actually, his Splinter Wand isn't always terrible. Splinter Wand can do some really funny things. In particular, if you find yourself on the receiving end of something like Longbow, which will normally affect an entire row, Splinter Wand will just start hitting things all over the place. It's an incredibly strange item, and it can do some really funky things. Right, we have proved down here that this is a mine, so what's that saying? Familiar. That's not familiar. So that has to be saved. Yeah. I'm just going to hang around over here and hope the familiar does some of the legwork for me, because I really do not enjoy solving frozen cells at all. It's a bit of a chore. What I could do without... He said immediately, attempting to solve some frozen cells. Right then, this is a 2, and that is a 2, so that is a... Yes. Okay, then... And then that. Really? What was that pierced the skin about? What do I have? Oh, that would have been fatal, huh? I have a lot of health now for reasons. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll use that Ember Wand at the end of the round, that's for sure. So, is this actually... This isn't a 2, it's just gleaned under the ice. God, I hate that about this. I hate that about Frozen so much. Okay then, yep. So, yeah, sure, that's a mine. I really hate that Frozen makes your gleaning worse. That it just makes it so difficult to differentiate between a glean cell and an actual value. Well. Oh. Yeah, it might be time to use that sooner than I thought, actually, because I might need the health. I just realised that I've double flagged a 1. And we don't do that, kids. Ooh, no. That's an Eddie no. Burn it all down. So that's precisely 0 bones. That's not what you like to see. That is touching 1. This might be the end of something beautiful, kids. None. This is starting to turn into something solvable. Hey! How are we on time? Yeah, we got another one. So, remember that we had Frozen. In fact, since I already had Comforter, so goodness knows what Frozen was appearing alongside there. You know, that could actually turn out to be significantly worse. Oh well. I mean, got things to be thankful for. Especially in this climate, I've got my health. Reasonably secure job. There's certainly worse situations I could be in right now. I'm still a little bit salty. Also hungry. And I'm hungry at any given hour of the day, really. Used to be a runner. Not since I picked up a bit of an injury, but ever since then, just pretty constantly ravenous. I think the body remembers. It remembers what I used to do to it, and it's worried I'm going to do it again. And it's right. As soon as I'm healthy again, then yeah, I absolutely am going to do it again. And my body has no say in the matter. Never. So one of these has to be, so that can't be. Oh, he has a message. That's... Yeah, I suspect at this time of day, actually, it's probably the wife. The roof finishes in a bit. That's not guaranteed, is it? It's not guaranteed, and that's what I want. Okay. Can I even work anything out here? One of these must be. So 2 of these are. That's nothing. Come on. That was a guess. But I like to think a reasonably well-educated one. Oh, not yet. Okay, we are back. I mean, yeah, sometimes it's a guess. What else can you do? Sometimes you've got to screw reasoning and you've got to kick logic to the curb. Because that's the Team Daigoran way. That was one of my favourite things about Risk of Rain, was the Gurren Lagann reference in the I think it was the artifact that jacks up the miner class. I enjoyed Gurren Lagann quite a lot. I tried to get into Kill La Kill, but I've got to be in a very particular place to consume a full series of any anime, because not to imply that I'm an incredible... I mean, I suppose I'm a slightly more busy person than most. I mean, I commute rather a lot, which takes up quite a bit of time, but it is hard to really commit to watching a full series of anything. I tell you, just at the risk of turning this into a podcast of sorts, but yeah, one thing that I really cannot be doing with is anytime anybody tells me that a series is particularly amazing, but I really 50-50, isn't it? Yeah, of course. Let's try again. Anytime anybody tells me that a series is particularly great, but you have to give it time, you have to get into it. Because if I have free time, I like to spend it playing games. I like to, like this is, and has been for, I'm gonna say 30 years now. This has been my hobby. It's what I enjoy doing. So, for someone to say this takes some getting into, like particularly if they come out and say like it gets really good after like season 2. What they're saying to me is, you're going to have to donate about, I don't know, 12 or so hours of your free time before you actually start enjoying this media product. And I'm sorry, but that's a very difficult thing for me to take on. I am a little bit of a victim of, millennial-esque instant gratification culture. I mean, hell, I used to play MMORPGs, and I've been brought up on a very steady diet of, incentivized, like cash shops and XP potions and the like. But I don't like to wait too long for a thing that I'm supposed to be enjoying to get good. It doesn't have to be good immediately. I'm not that bad, although I do have my moments, certainly. But I mean, I've got to be. It's got to be a very convincing argument before I will really buy into no, really buy into the idea that I should, you know, I should watch your thing to the exclusion of doing something else that I would probably enjoy doing. And I'm perfectly fine with people who enjoy, you know, sitting and binge watching things, and that's entirely your prerogative. If that's what you enjoy doing, then yeah, more power to you. And I'm not saying that anybody who is able to do that, enjoys doing that, is, you know, in any way brimming with free time. It is not a little pity party for myself, but I like to be careful about how I spend my time sometimes. He said having... I mean, I'm not going to say that playing Minesweeper is a particularly good use of my time. I have heard the argument that time spent in the pursuit of something you enjoy isn't wasted, and I think that's a very pretty sentiment, and it's one that I don't disagree with. It is one that I like to be a little bit careful about sometimes. I like to feel like I'm getting some kind of value out of my days. Like, you only get so many goes around the old fiery ball, don't you? So, I mean, goodness me, I feel like if I'm just sat around, and if I sat and did this all day, and I have been known to sit around and do this all day when I didn't have anything else particularly to do, and like if I had to wait for someone to come over to do some work on the house or something, I do actually find it depressing to get to the end of the day and say, like, well, what did you achieve with that one? Because, you know, I'm going to be, you know, with any luck, at some point in my life, at a period where I'm not able to get out and about and do the things I want to do, and I don't want to be able to look back and think, you know, God, you really blew that one. Oh, come on now, that hardly seems sporting. I do not think that we are on to a big fat winner here. No, in fact, I think this one is just going to keep kicking all the way down. Which means, actually, there may be some value to me going into the rite of passage. And buying some health just to satisfy the soul sludge. Yep. Now, I've taken supplying diamond just because it's going to make more nomads, which means I'm going to have more strangers to activate, which means I can activate more shops.
Hello.
Plus, yeah, some of them are good. That's fine. That's fine. So, pop, Mr. B, the angels are waiting. 12 coins for body armour. Bush. Just to be a massive hypocrite for a moment. I'll probably repeat myself rather a lot. Yeah, I am aware that happens. To be completely honest, I don't talk to very many people in my day-to-day, and so I do tend to forget what I've said, and I tend to repeat myself. But yeah, to be a massive hypocrite and to say that while I don't always take on board people's media recommendations, I will happily make them myself. Goodness, if you haven't seen the Mighty Boosh, you owe it to yourself. That's a magical show. That is a magic show that... I mean, there are certain TV shows that I feel like went in their prime, and the world is better for it. Like Father Ted. If you've ever... There's an interesting story behind the final episode of Father Ted, in that Dermot Morgan, the guy who played Father Ted, was actually quite severely ill, and he got to the final episode, filmed it, and as the story goes, I mean, I've got the Father Ted script book, but there's a story by, I think it's Graham Linehan that tells it, that he filmed the final episode, and then he just died the day after. And they were saying it was almost as if he had been waiting for the final episode, the episode to finish, like he'd been saving himself, and then just passed. Which it's kind of tragic. It's kind of beautiful in a way. Like, so that it makes the ending of it quite touching, because it's kind of a sweet ending that show has. But I believe that if they'd have made another series of Father Ted, it wouldn't have necessarily been quite so good, because that was consistently a very strong show. And the same with like the other Graham Linehan show that I really enjoy, Black Books, which in my opinion is the finest thing that's ever been on television. I think that stopped at a really nice point. Like, you really just want to give me one, huh? But it had a strong finish, and it didn't go out on a bang or anything. It just went out with a comfortable and pleasant ending. And I think it went out on kind of a non-ending, really, because it was just a series at the end of the day. But God, I mean, I think you do gamble on the statue, don't you? And but I'm a very, very firm believer that a show should end when sort of when it's time, really. It shouldn't be dragging out for too long. There are so many shows that have just almost been poisoned in a way just by running a little bit too long. And you've told all the stories you can tell with the characters, and you've made all the jokes you can tell. And I kind of feel that way about The Simpsons sometimes. Like when you get to like The Simpsons are inject scenario, and okay, there's your episode. And I ain't saying that I don't like the newer series as much as the older ones. I'm one of those guys. I don't believe that the series has completely jumped the shark. I don't believe that it's as interesting as it used to be. It's not always as touching as it used to be. I think it's still good, and I still enjoy it when I see it. But yeah, I think you can become a bit of a victim of your own success and just, run a bit too long. And where do you go? Where do you go? Well, minimum power. I mean, I think you cracked that one. Kill it or lose it. Yep, well, that's fine. It was a 50-50 resolver, and I'll take it. He said immediately getting another 50-50. Right. There's one. Could we not do this? That was very lucky. And it also gives me my information. Yeah, just fade out. Fade out gracefully. Don't milk the cow too hard. And I have a lot of respect for that kind of attitude, but ooh, do you go for a triple? Oh baby. Well, I think what you do is you go for the loot. Although Soul Sludge is starting to look a little bit feisty there.
Hello.
Yeah, present. No, you can't do it again. Don't push it. And interesting, but not great. Yeah, whoosh. Yes, it is okay for things to fade. But yeah, the Mighty Boosh is a... I feel like if you're outside of the UK, it's probably a little bit difficult to digest, because it's very absurdist, almost Monty Python-esque humour. I am quite a fan of that. For my sins. Yeah, whack that out then. What I'm really trying to go for is the statue within a statue within a statue achievements, which so far has proved quite elusive. That is definitely one, which means that this is definitely not. I actually thought that to get that achievement I would have to get a rasp, which is definitely going to be your best chance of getting it. But you never know your luck in an RNG kind of based game. And certainly it's going to be Lootmageddon if I do solve this one. That is kind of an if though, because this is starting to get just a wee bit spicy. But yeah, it's very strange, very absurdist humour. Noel Fielding, I have this idea that Noel Fielding is actually just one of the Fae folk. He's one of the changelings that were left behind by the the Star People, whatever you want to call the elves, and he's not quite of this world. But there's a certain spark of magic, and there's a certain spark of unrelenting terror within that man, and I find him fascinating. 3, 1, 2, 3, so that can't be that. I do love me some gleaning. Gotta get me some gleaning. My mother in particular thinks that Noel Fielding is lovely, and a little part of me believes that if I wrote a very nice letter to him, saying that 2, 3, 4, 5, my mum thinks you're great, would you like to come over to her place for a cup of tea one time? I kind of believe he might do it for a laugh. And man, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, this might be doable. One of these is definitely mine, means that ain't. Station 2. Does that stack the challenge rewards? Right, well, first thing I think you do... Well, we get an item. We get an item, why not? Longbow is neat. Mjolnir, I like it, but not that much. But yeah. We just fend off Soul Sludge for a while. And then we get in here. And we see what we can do. Yeah, you can blow it out your backside, can't you? You sassy bastard. Yeah, well, I love that YouTube makes me specify my videos aren't for kids. Well, I mean, it asks me to, and it seems that if you go through the old uploader and ignore that setting, then it doesn't particularly mind. Incidentally, if you're in any doubt, I do not consider my videos to be for kids. I mean, yeah, sure, if you're a kid, I don't mind you watching them or anything. I ain't gonna say ask your mum or dad for permission before you watch my videos. But frankly, I'm just glad that anyone's watching my videos. But, I mean, I've said this before, I do produce these for me, really. Just to... Man of cardboard. I ain't got any better at reading situations, have I? Because we like to play on a level that is frozen. I'll get some more minions at least. Yeah, hello. What you got? Get a cannon, yeah. Yeah, I think I do make these for me. It's therapeutic to just, sit and think and make a little video. Oh, he doesn't like that. No, he doesn't. That was... Well, this is looking a little more solvable than previous rounds have been. Still not good though. Because it's frozen. And I don't like frozen. Apart from the animated movie, I mean that's fine. Cool human. These names they just keep on giving. Right then, all of these are, and I suspect that this one isn't. There's something. And there's a bit of a thaw here. It reminds me of just about the dirtiest joke I know, but I ain't gonna get into that. So we bought a soup maker recently, because goodness, that's fascinating conversation, isn't it? And it's great. I like making a bit of soup sometimes, but wow, it gets a bit more vegetable, a few more vegetables into your diet in a very short span of time, and the flatulence is unrelenting. Oh, so yeah, now we're all friends here, aren't we? So let me tell you all about my farts. Because deep down inside the mind of every adult man, there's a 10-year-old that never really grew up. And farts are still amazing and still funny. And I still try to burp for time. You gotta get a little bit of joy out of life, even if it is juvenile. Otherwise you just turn into a robot. Nobody wants that. Now, I can't think of anything interesting to do with any of this. I'm looking at There is probably something I can do to solve this safely. Oh, you said. None of them regrets. That was lucky. And I will freely admit that. That's the man. Oh, could the dream be real? One of these is. And only one of these. I mean, I think this was... Okay, so let's look at this. Yeah. Right then. It's the way that the guy looks so similar to the nomad. And an item shop, no less. Right, how many more of these we got then? I'm just going to pop this right here. Just in case of, you know, shenanigans. In case anything happens to start removing my items. Normally I would love double, but that soul sludge has me worried, because I can't really take many more turns before this becomes a problem. That's fine. Confusing hooter. Lock and load. Indeed. Well, it looks like your aiming is a little bit off there, little dog. Island has just got to replay island. Not that big an issue. Oh, familiars leave a sanctified trail. I'm sure I'll learn how to use sanctified one of these days to my advantage. No, I won't. Now, the thing is, I do get an enormous amount of cash here. So, if I survive this, quite likely to unlock a rite of passage, which should give me enough life to survive up until I've just realised what time it is. Give me enough life to survive until I can afford to buy out Soul Sludge. Or I could just get nervous about the time and completely flub the run. It's also good. Shame really, because this is looking quite the solvable run ultimately. And I may just try to burn through it kind of quick like. Because he can go at speed if he needs to. Doesn't often choose to. This potion is interesting but not good. I'm going to spread still down to 50-50 anyway, but the longbow is charged. So what you do is use that, pop a 50-50 with it. Owl drops pipe, that's good to know. So then we take all the loot and we do. There we go. Bash. Oops. And we